We're back, fellas. Episode 10, the reaction committee. Lots going on in these last, it's been at least a month since we posted anything, right?
Yeah,
we're back live in Detroit. Had a hell of a time downtown.
Yeah.
It was probably our last appearance we've made. But yeah, Super Bowl happened. Kansas City, they win it all. Classic. They win 25-22 against San Francisco. Thoughts? Let's just get right to it. The thoughts of the Super Bowl, fellas. Good Super Bowl, yeah. I mean,
it was like kind of. I'll be honest. Like I got a bunch of texts during the game, and everyone was like, "This Super Bowl is ass. Like it's not enjoyable."
Ass, yeah.
And it was slow. I kept saying the whole time. I was like, number one, I'm actually having a great time, probably because I was out at the bar and I was drinking a little. So I was like, this Super Bowl ain't bad.
Where were you at? Then,
Rustic Tap, yeah, Austin, Texas, Rustic Tap, great time. Atmosphere?
Great venue.
It's a venue.
Great venue. Yeah. Stood the whole time, but no complaints, no qualms. But Super Bowls always go that, like the first quarter, nobody ever scores. Like it's super rare. Even like the Falcons 28-3 it was still like 7-0 even at the end of the first quarter. So things usually pick up, but to be honest, obviously not a lot of offense, and the game kind of was cheeks for a good amount. There's a lot of turnovers. There's a lot of fumbles, dude. Yep. Yeah, there had to be at least 3 or 4 almost fumbles. They didn't lose all of them, but I mean, first game to go that deep into overtime, only the second Super Bowl to ever go to overtime. Still a pretty good game, but I feel like the whole time it was going on, we knew what was going to happen. It was inevitable. It felt like Tom Brady. It felt like the Patriots. We've seen it a million times. Yep. You can't let them hang around. It was going to end that way the whole time. The Niners had all the chances in the world, and that's just the way that it was going to go. So it felt a little predictable, but still good Super Bowl. Like not great, especially for the fact that it went to the very end of a 15 or a 10-minute overtime, but still not bad.
I honestly thought it was a pretty good Super Bowl. Like, I mean, I like the new rules for overtime. I mean, we saw today 49ers did not mean to take the ball after winning the toss, but they did. And so other teams are going to learn from that. But I think the new rules are cool for overtime. Like you said, first half was boring as hell. Usher single-handedly revived the game, and then second half went crazy.
Getting on the rollerblades, that was crazy. He was good. The better performances.
That was good.
It was. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
So with the Niners taking the ball today, I saw they did mean to. It was just Shanahan.
The analytics crew. Sorry to cut you off. Yes, but the analytics crew apparently gave. This is what Shanahan says. Him the nod, because I don't always go off the analytics, and they threw out. I don't know if he did in the interview, but at some point he threw out the fact that defense was tired because they just had played, that prior to the overtime. So
they did mean to get the ball, but they meant to take the ball, but like the captains that went out there, they had no clue that the Chiefs were going to get the ball back even if they scored a touchdown. They didn't understand the rules. So I don't know if they would have changed their mind.
Came out and said that he didn't know about it, which is concerning considering that is one of your guys. I know Fred was just the only one out there, but here's the deal. It's to me, right away I asked, okay, so what are you doing for these 2 weeks of prep? Do you not prepare for that situation going to overtime in a game that, yes, you are favored in San Francisco, but it's the public and I don't know if we haven't talked about it, but I had Kansas City winning that game, called it 25-24. So close game. I thought it'd be 22-25. So is that's something that you're not prepared for? Concerning, number one, that your staff is not aware of the new rules. Only issue I have with the rules, I do have an issue.
Okay.
I like the fact that both teams get the ball. We'll get to this. I mean, that's pretty much the whole thesis. Yeah, it was a good game until then. And I don't, whatever, they go and kick the field goal, Kansas City, they tie it. Okay, fine, overtime. The issue I have with Shanahan and the Niners getting the rock first is you're giving Mahomes the ball guaranteed. And then, yes, there was a clock, but as not a lot of people knew, you had to have the audio and everything on. That clock was meaningless. Regardless if that went to zeros, Kansas City's getting the rock in the second quarter of overtime.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people did. So, the urgency of the game and the game of football in of itself is completely thrown out the door, which to me, it takes away from it. It's okay, we're going to go down the field. San Francisco score. Okay, they get 3 points. Mahomes and them could have gone to the zeros, and that's what people were unclear about. And some of the coaches clearly.
Yeah.
You can go down to 0. It restarts again. That game was not over. Like they continued. So I have a problem with that they didn't know that was the case, and giving the rock to Mahomes to end the game, because he even came out in that interview with Dakota's background and said we were going for 2 balls. They scored a touchdown. And in my eyes, I still think they're going to get it because it's Patrick Mahomes, right? So I get Brock Purdy and the defense thing. You don't want to put the pressure on Brock Purdy. Maybe that shouldn't be an excuse, though. He got you this far and he's your guy. Like, go down, give them the rock. Okay, they score 7. You can go down the field, let alone tie it, and you could tie it, and let alone you could win the game if you go for 2. So that was my whole problem. It's like, why are you taking it, Shanahan? That makes no sense. You're giving Mahomes the rock to end the game. And that's why I go, you boofed.
Why do you want to give them the chance why do you want to give that guy the chance for the storybook ending? Like, of course he's going to go down and win the game.
His comments due to that, if someone asked, it wasn't exactly put like that, was I think he said this or it came out. It's like, well, in the 3rd possession, if they were to get the ball, they could go down and they could go kick it and win it with Moody on a field goal after they had the 3rd possession. So that 3rd possession, it's do or die. Like, that's it. Whoever scores there, it's over.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, dog, like, they're going for 2. Why wouldn't they? Like, they're that good. They're that confident.
Yeah.
I believe they would score the 2 regardless. So that's my only issue with it. I mean, that's the issue with it.
Yeah, so like that was my thing too, is like, number one, I was one of those people, like I said, I was out of the bar, so like I didn't hear the broadcast pretty much the entire time. I heard some here and there. So I knew the new overtime rules were regardless, and they did it because of that Chiefs game against the Bills. Correct. And the Bills complained their ass off because like, we're never going to get the ball, even though the rules have been like that. And the rules were dumb before then. And like, if a team scores a touchdown, you should get a rebuttal. Classic beer pong rules. Like, that's just house rules. That's what you do.
Right.
So I knew that. I didn't know the clock winding down. Like, when the Chiefs let the clock wind all the way down, I looked at my brother, and they scored, obviously, so it didn't matter regardless. Like, they would have let the clock run out. I looked at my brother. I was like, they don't give a shit about the clock. They knew they were going to score either way. And that was my thing. I saw what you saw, Kreitz, the Shanahan quote. I think it was a quote. I think he said, he's like, the thought process was we'd get the ball first, and then if they go score, which means you're banking on them to score. You're not trusting your defense to stop them. So you're saying, we're going to go score. You're banking on the Chiefs to score. Then you want to give your team a do or die scenario. Are you really, if you're then kicking a field goal, you're anticipating the Chiefs not scoring a touchdown? Like, you give Patty Mahomes the ball in crunch time. And I saw a stat. It's like a minute, if there was a minute or under left in the game in the postseason, and your team is 7 points or less, Patty Mahomes is 7 for 7 in those do or die scenarios. 7 for 7. So going into that, he was 6 for 6. The next closest is the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, who's 5 of 11.
Yeah.
And so, like, you think in that overtime, that's wild. Like, that's why Tom Brady's most clutch player ever. And he's 5 of 11 in those scenarios where it's a minute or under. And so, like, really, you think you're going to stop him, and you end up kicking the field goal anyways. Shanahan can say whatever the hell he wants.
Bro, with his theory,
makes sense, dude. Ever.
His theory is basically saying, like, yeah, we would rather give Michael Jordan a chance to win the game than a chance to, like, tie the game. Like, that's, like, essentially, like, what it is. And it's like, bro, why are you going to give someone who's, like, got that GOAT DNA in them, literally give them the biggest moment to, like, make the biggest play? Like, that's just stupid.
It's so dumb. It'll never add up. Shanahan's had a 10-point lead in 3 Super Bowls, and he's blown them all. Like, legit every single one. This one wasn't as bad because it was 10 points early on. But still, like I said, they had every opportunity to take control of that game. They couldn't do it.
That defense is ridiculous. We get lost in I feel like Mahomes, and he's insane. I mean, he could be the best of all time. I'm not going to declare him that. No way. No, I hate that people are doing that right now. It's like he's 28 and he's been amazing. But what happens when Andy Reid retires? Because he's going to at some point. And Travis Kelce in his little podcast already came out and said, he legit came out and said, if Reid's gone, I'm gone. So they got one more run, I'd assume. Obviously, they both said they're coming back next year. But it's like, dude, how many more years of this do they have? And Mahomes is fantastic. That defense, though, it's just so nasty. Like, I think it gets lost in the sauce of Mahomes, which I get. but that defense was disgusting. I mean, they really were. And I don't even think Brock Purdy played that bad of a game. I think Brock
played good.
I give him his flowers this whole playoffs. Like, I think he did was why they were losing to the Lions and the Packers briefly, and then that game, it wasn't because of him. But like the Shanahan thing, what concerns me is your guy Juszczyk, who's been there for years. I think they only have 2 captains technically, but he's like a captain guy. Obviously, he's a Pro Bowler. Yes, he's a fullback, but one of their guys. The man went to Harvard. If anyone should know the rules, like let's call up the Harvard man. Like the fact that he didn't know was really like, who else didn't know?
Dude, Chiefs players came out and said throughout the entire postseason, not just leading into the Super Bowl, they said throughout the whole postseason, they spent a lot of time, not a little bit of time, a lot of time going over the new postseason rules, which is that's very Belichick-esque to me, because that is how many scenarios are you going to get into in the playoffs where it goes to overtime? Few and far between. But that is one of those things where it's like, if you know that to a T and you play good situational football and you make the right call where they would have never given them the rock, they wouldn't have done that. That's what decides some of these games. And the Niners clearly didn't go over. Maybe they went over it once. Maybe. It seems like they didn't.
But that's what it seems like they didn't. And that's like the biggest concern. It's like you got guys in your team who are coming out vocally after like, well, I didn't know what was really going on. It's like, dude, how? Like, what are you doing for the last 2 weeks? What are you doing for the whole prep? You had a bye week, for goodness sake, like the Niners did. Like, are we not going over this? I don't know.
Coaches didn't go over it. That's like on them, to be honest.
I expect it from as bad as it gets with Frank Reich in the middle of the season with the Panthers if they somehow are in that situation. Doesn't matter how shit your team is. Dan Campbell, I guarantee you, as much crap as he gets, he knows what the rules are. No way he doesn't. So,
I mean, we saw against the Cowboys, Dan Campbell even knows the rules better than the refs. So
clearly, right? Yeah, it is what it is, and they lose in the first round, which is the funniest thing. But Super Bowl overall, to me, I thought Kansas City was going to win because of Mahomes. They won because of their defense and Mahomes. The man's got 3. The man's shooting to get 3 in a row, which would be insanity. But I mean, tip of the cap, I gotta give it to him. He's now in that conversation as of now for me. It's like he's really performing well. And as much as like, oh yeah, I think Reed and having Travis Kelce on your team is like a big component. Huge. And that defense this year has been the best defense he's had every year of all his years. He's up there. I mean, he's one of those names now of our generation where it's like, yeah, Mahomes.
It's
Brady. As someone said, he's kind of getting
Brady, Montana, Mahomes. That's what it
Tiger
is.
And getting into other sports.
He's
becoming a name.
He's cut from that different cloth, bro. Yep. Like he's cut from that goat cloth. You can just tell. Like you can see it.
Already was a Hall of Famer and just solidified it even more. First ballot after that, like no question.
And their defense is gross because this is what we saw this year, and you could argue even last year. Like they didn't have Tyreek Hill. He didn't have the same weapons that he's had in the past. Travis Kelce obviously is aging. Their defense is very, very good because Patty Mahomes is starting to do what Tom Brady used to do throughout his entire career, which is you will always gain positive yardage every single possession. And so you will always take your defense off the field for a certain amount. You're maybe not scoring every possession, and it's not these these huge, crazy plays, but you're gaining positive yardage and you're putting yourself in these good situations where you're kind of winning that field position battle because you're going to score eventually when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. And it just puts your defense in a good spot. And that's why his defense is going to continue to improve. It's not just gunning it deep to Tyreek Hill anymore, where it's like, holy hell, look at his arm. It's a little bit more game management. And then you still, the last drive of the fourth quarter and that last drive in overtime, it's like, now I'm going to go full Patty Mahomes and I'm going to make sure that we win. And so it's like you're managing the game and then you go take over.
They're playing smart football. Like it's just smart football. Like the scheme they have with the game plan with them not having the same weapons this season. And that's where I think and we'll get to this later when we're going to talk a little power rankings for NFL and college later, but it's going to be interesting to see like how the Chiefs look next year because they're in a little bit of a weird position. Like they can either upgrade the receiver room this offseason or they can like re-sign Chris Jones maybe. Like I feel like it's going to be one or the other for them. I don't know if both of those are necessarily like in the cards for them.
Yeah, they got to re-sign Snead too, who's been really good for them. I assume they're going to go that route over Chris Jones because Chris Jones can get paid fat by somebody random. Like that's just happen.
Like he dominates.
And I think they can technically, because they signed a 1-year deal, can franchise tag him. I just don't know if he wants to be in that situation, just the way he reacted this year to everything. But the thing about their defense and the thing about them is they're not in cap hell like the Niners are. You're paying Brock Purdy $800K on his contract. Yeah, you're still paying McCaffrey. You're paying Warner. You're paying Bosa. You're paying the list goes on. Guys,
got Chase Young too. Yeah, like
Chase Young. You're gonna have to start paying some guys, and they already are. So San Francisco, to me, man, like is on the decline, and as Kansas City, I don't think they're really gonna dip too much because I think you're right, Stu. They're gonna probably address. I mean, they have the 30. I've seen it in mock drafts. They go get Keon Coleman or someone like that. There's an addition. You can sign somebody else who wants to go win a championship with Mahomes. Like
Keon Coleman, bro.
I know,
range too. Like that.
They're in Patriots range where it's like you can kind of you don't have to sign because like Mahomes already signed his big deal. He's locked in, and he can restructure it as much as he wants. You can kind of go plug and play when it comes to your defense and especially your offense. And you're going to be competitive no matter what because you have Patty Mahomes and you don't have to be like the Niners have a bunch of big names. That's what they're built on is just these big names. And so like it's not the longevity of it just isn't going to be there. Where the Chiefs, I felt like going into this year and even last year, everybody's like, well, they lost Tyreek Hill. They've lost Tyrann Mathieu. They lost a bunch of their O-line, which had hurt them when they were playing Tampa. And then they just regrouped everything. And it's one of those things where as long as you got Patrick Mahomes, you can kind of plug and chug with all these guys on 1 and 2 year deals, and you're fine.
Yeah,
like they're going to be okay.
And they're drafting well. They are, especially on the defense side of the ball.
I hope it ends though. I do.
I mean, the Niners, dude, they're for sure going downhill. Yeah, like you boys are saying, like their future pretty much relies on Brock Purdy at this point.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, and look at Ayuk. He's already vocal. He wants his bag. I mean, he's got his girlfriend and his brother telling him we're not coming back to San Fran. He wants money from them, and he'll probably get paid elsewhere because they're probably going to want to keep Debo around other than Ayuk. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to have to be – that team was built to win. The reason why they're favored now, and they ran against Mahomes. I mean, but they really in the playoffs, to be honest, as a team collectively – like they probably played their best game in the Super Bowl. Green Bay was not a great game for them. They should have probably lost that one. Lions had it won. They screwed that one up. Obviously, we saw that up 17.5. Come on. Like that's just what that is. So
their defense played their best game in the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah, they did. They cooked up what they could, and that's even with one of their best players, Greenlaw, ripping his ACL on the sideline on the second drive or whatever it was. That was crazy.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the power rankings, Stu. You kind of you brought that up, so we'll segue to that. Let's go ahead around the horn. Let's see if we can guess them. Well, I'm going all top 15. I'm getting a good almost whole upper half. We're doing that also after this. We'll transition to the NCAA and kind of what we think of that. ESPN just updated after their national signing days, their rankings, and there's some change up for sure from what I saw.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. But number one. Oh, you can guess who for NFL? Going to NFL power rankings going into the next season.
Still Chiefs.
Chiefs. You want to go down the line? You guys can probably get a few.
Yeah, I think still Niners.
Niners still at 2, yes.
Niners 2, Ravens 3.
Ravens are at 3, which I've seen them in different spots. I think that's appropriate. They just screwed up that. That was the best team in the regular season, bar none. Like that was, but they screwed up in the playoffs and you lose Mahomes. You can't put them out of them, obviously.
Lions 4.
Detroit Lions, baby. You know what it is. One prize at 4, which I think is appropriate. I think they deserve that.
Yeah, any power rankings with Bills ahead of Lions is not credible.
Which is the next one at 5, the Buffalo Bills. And here we go. It's a little more shaky here. Who's at 6?
I'm gonna throw it out. I'm gonna say the Cowboys at 6.
Dallas Cowboys are at 6. Yes.
I know the Bengals are up there high. They definitely threw the Bengals.
Not on this list. This is NFL Power Rankings. Came out today on NFL.com, and it has them not in the top 15, which I think is a little ridiculous.
Whoa. Yeah, that's. But they're gonna do that.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Joe's coming off an injury. It is what it is.
If you're bringing T back and Higgins back, and you got to figure out all that stuff. I'm not.
don't think they're going to bring like T. Higgins is awesome.
They are a top 15 team, probably still top 10.
Doesn't matter yet. That defense
For
is
what
still
they can
gross.
do.
Yeah.
I would put them around like the 12-11 range.
Yeah,
like
but I'm sure if we go to one of these books, I'm sure they're like 7th or 8th for national.
I was going to say,
I think they Super Bowl odds. I think they're like top 6 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
which would make sense because they've been there. All right, number 7. I'm pro 7. I think this is a good spot for them. Higher than
I was going to say Green Bay Packers.
No.
Okay.
Texans?
The Texans sit at 7, which I think is a very good spot.
I like that.
Number 8.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, number 8.
Cool.
I think they're going to sign someone this offseason too. I think they got some cap to do. They do have cap to do it. I know they do. The Texans.
Yeah, no, they're going to get someone nasty. They're going to get like a sick vet or something, I feel like.
Yeah. Number 8, I guess.
Dude, wait, imagine Derrick Henry on the Zans, bro. Like if they
could be there, right? That'd be a spot like he could land for sure.
Are the Packers top 10?
Packers, I was just going to say they're next. They're at 9.
Okay. They're at 9. Okay, but not 8.
Who is 8? Who is 8?
I'm torn between 2.
Shoot them
out. I'll still give them the Dolphins.
No.
Wow, Dolphins got to be 10.
Dolphins are 11.
Wow, damn, bro. I really don't know who 8 would be.
8, I'm gonna say is the. Well, actually, I'm torn between 2 again. I'm gonna go with the Rams.
No, the Rams sit at 12. I'll just get this out of the way now. The Browns.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about.
I'll just kill this because it gets kind of shaky after that. 10's Philly. From a
I forgot about Philly too. Yeah.
Miami sits at 11. Rams at 12, and here we go. Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, and then this is where it's like I'm taking Cincinnati over Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and this team New Orleans.
Yeah, what?
I'm not buying into the New Orleans Saints at all.
No, not even a little bit. Also, like the Dolphins as well. It is what it is, but
I mean, you kind of have to put the Bengals. I feel like
I would put the Dolphins ahead of the Browns, to be honest.
They lost Vic Fangio.
They lost Vic Fangio. I don't know if Tua's actually good at all anymore at this point, and because I kind of was standing on the rock to a none, he kind of sucks. And
they had so many injuries on that defense.
They did have a lot of injuries on the defense, but the Browns' defense was like legitimately one of the best defenses.
They were good.
Yeah,
I think
like
there's a lot of stock in Deshaun being nice, though. I feel like
they got to figure out their QB because I don't know if they're going to actually bring back Joe.
You can't do what they did this year, like back-to-back years. There's just no way.
Right.
You're not rocking 4 quarterbacks throughout the regular season.
You can't sustain a good season with that. So,
you just
but yeah, there's the Browns. They get 8, and then it goes down the list. I mean, let's just transition. I'm good on the NFL, fellas. Against NCAA. I mean, that was hell of a season. We had a great time. I know that, especially us as fans of the Lions. Kansas City, they reign supreme. Don't forget who lost to them at home week 1. I hope we get them so bad in the Super Bowl and take down them.
That'd be awesome.
I was gonna say, should we shoot the way too early Super Bowl predictions for next year?
Sure, I'll take that one. Give me Kansas City.
That's what I'm taking, dude, all day. Give me
Lions Bengals.
Of course.
Yeah.
His dream scenario.
I thought you guys were gonna take that. So
you be creaming the jeans with that one.
I have a hot take. I'm gonna ride with them again. I'm really still liking. I know it might be a little crazy. I was big on him last year. I'm going to give Aaron Rodgers one more year, another shot. They're not on this list. That's going to be one of my picks. Super Bowl. Just throw some cash. I think it's plus 3,000. Just a little value action.
I mean, I would put Jets in New Orleans, bro, for sure.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Lions Jets would be such an awesome Super Bowl.
Oh, it would be awesome.
It'd be fucking hilarious.
Dude, can you imagine how much it would sting losing a Super Bowl to Aaron Rodgers, though?
I was saying this, though. I agree. But I was saying this because the thing with Rodgers is, like, that'll be his last Super Bowl, in my opinion. Maybe he runs it back if he gets that far again. But it's like, if the Lions, as sick as this sounds, like, if the Lions were in this Super Bowl, I feel like that would have hurt way more if we were the Niners in that situation, losing to Mahomes in that fashion. Just like, but I mean, I don't know.
That's fair. That would sting, but dude,
God,
losing to Aaron Rodgers would be like
losing to Rodgers would be so. Because if we had lost this year, honestly, Ben Johnson probably would have for sure left. You know what I mean? Like you make it all the way to the Super Bowl. There's a higher chance that he leaves. This year, I feel like he obviously came back. It feels like everybody's running it back. If we made it that far, again, like you go all the way to the Super Bowl and you're playing Rodgers and then he takes us down again, it would almost it would hurt a lot. I think
Dude,
it would hurt.
that would
more.
be like
it would hurt a lot.
that would be like weeks of recovery, dude.
Yeah, that would be so ass if we lost to Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets and the New York Jets in the Super
It would be like
Bowl.
a flashback in my head of just like every time Rodgers wronged us. Like that would be grim. All right, let's rip this college one. I gotta stop thinking about this.
All right, let's get there. Yeah, let's live that one. A classic. All right, we're gonna go through it. We're just gonna get right to it. Post signing day, fellas. I want your guesses here. This is gonna be tough. This will be a little bit of a crapshoot. We're gonna go down the line again. I like this guessing thing, and we'll talk about each team briefly. Let's go NCAA. Let's just rip right to it. Who is number one? I think we all know who it is.
They still have Georgia 1.
Georgia Bulldogs won. Carson Beck returns. You're losing Bowers. You're not losing as much as they've lost in the past. There's,
they got a decent amount of production coming back, I think.
Yes. Georgia's got Carson Beck, who did not look bad at all last year, getting a decent amount of production back. They do play Bama. I know that. They have to come here to Austin, which will be an interesting game. But yeah, I mean, Georgia number one, I'm not opposed just from what they do and who they are. Like they were, and I think we all agree, a top probably 4 team in the playoffs. I mean,
they would have been dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, but you lose to Saban. I mean, that's what happens. You don't make it. Okay, number 2.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
The Ohio State Buckeyes are at number 2. They continue to recruit well. News on the street, Bill O'Brien, he gone, but they bring in Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about that real quick.
The old master.
I have two takes. Do
you think that's more of an upgrade or a downgrade from Bill O'Brien? That's why I asked you both.
I'm pretty all set on Bill O'Brien. Like on the offensive side of the ball, it's probably an upgrade. It's just a bad look that Bill O'Brien, after like a month, was like, all right, sayonara, fellas. I'm going to coach Boston College. But I do think, like, in terms of them scoring more points, probably an upgrade.
They want to sell his house. That's my guess. Didn't want to sell the house.
Yeah, didn't want to sell the house. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Bill O'Brien is great at all. But I don't blame him for taking a head coach job. Like, it's like, all right, like I feel like that's an on par job with like an Ohio State coordinator job. But at the same time, I like Chip Kelly. I think in terms of like offensive coaching skill is an upgrade from Bill O'Brien. But like, dude, that's who Ryan Day learned under, was like Chip Kelly, bro. Like, I don't know. I think it's just kind of weird having the like old master be under the Padawan now. I don't know if that's going to necessarily like gel so well throughout a whole season, especially if like you're about to lose to Michigan and Ryan Day's job's on the line. Like, that might be a little complicated. I don't know though. I just don't think it's going to be that great of a move.
To me, it is what it is. I don't like know how much different it really is. Sure, I guess he's more of an offensive like guru, but like he wasn't doing anything insane at UCLA. It's not like they actually had some guys there. He got some guys to go there. So I don't know. I'm not the Bill O'Brien thing, the Chip Kelly thing, like whatever to me. Like, I don't know how much like their offense has the weapons to win a championship, hence why they're at 2. Like, they only are recruiting insane. It comes down to Ryan Day, and it comes down to, can you beat Michigan, even if Michigan is less, as they probably will be, and we'll get to them in the rankings. I mean, it really comes down to, and I thought with the Bill O'Brien thing, it's kind of pivoting here, maybe they hire him so he could fill in if there's issues with Ryan Day. But I honestly think that maybe, I got my hot take, I'll save it for hot takes later. Like, what if we haven't seen, I'm going to stick with it, actually. I'll just give it right now. Mr. Mike Vrabel has no job. I'm telling you, man, watch out for that name. What if he just ends up taking over Ohio State after a year not coaching? Because he does not have a job currently, and he very well should. And there's reports of him being too much of a shaw, or like whatever term they use for that, and is physically like a little too dominating because he's like a massive
for NFL owners. That was so stupid.
Wait, who?
That's what that is.
Mike Vrabel.
Oh, Vrabel. Okay.
Yeah, Vrabes. Yeah.
Dude,
stuff came out about that because he interviewed for head coach jobs. I really don't know why he's not a head coach. Like, he's a great coach.
No, he is, dude. I mean, if I'm an Ohio State fan, I'd rather have him as my head coach.
100%. Yeah. I don't.
And that's what I had to say. So like when they brought in, this was when they brought in Bill O'Brien, not even Chip Kelly. And everybody's getting hype about Ohio State, and like obviously they've just been unloading the clip, like transfer portal recruits, and then you bring in Bill O'Brien to be your offensive coordinator, a bunch of big names, everything's looking up and up. I saw that as like it's doomsday scenario. They're literally telling Brian Day like this is do or die, like this is the year. We're bringing in a head coach, a prominent name at OC, and a pretty prominent head coach as well, in Bill O'Brien. Now it's even more so the fact, like when you bring in Chip Kelly, and my monitor's fucking up. This is
yeah, you're frozen, crazy,
dude. Yeah,
We got you.
Okay.
You were throwing up like the damn.
I'm
bro.
glad it was.
Yeah,
it's side. That's why
here. I'm just gonna unplug it right quick. Let me switch the cam. One sec. This is so stupid.
I mean, I'll just while you're fixing
okay.
that.
I got to switch.
Okay, I bet.
No, I was saying even when they brought in Bill O'Brien, it was like, yeah, we're doing everything that we can to win. That's a lot of pressure on Ryan Day, and that rarely works out. Now you have Chip Kelly. Like Bill O'Brien at least has been an offensive coordinator some places and has been under some big name head coaches. Chip Kelly never really does that. Like Chip Kelly, everywhere that he goes is the guy. And just in terms of like locker room setting, if things go wrong for a minute, like just even for a minute, I feel like it could get pretty grim pretty fast. So like they have a talented team, but to me, it's like it's all or nothing, and that usually doesn't bode well. Like it's rare that goes well.
It's just a weird situation, dude. Like think about it like this. Like imagine 20 years from now, CJ Stroud becomes the head coach of Ohio State, and then he hires Ryan Day as his offensive coordinator. Like that's literally what like Ryan Day was Chip Kelly's QB for 3 years at New Hampshire. And it's like now he's his OC at his school at Ohio State. Like it's weird, dude. Like it's just strange.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic there for sure. They'll be interesting. They're obviously the favorites in the Big Ten, but we'll move on to number 3. Number 3. Got any guesses?
Number 3, I did.
Number 3, dude. Number 3.
I think I know who 4 is.
Texas.
Texas. Yeah, I'm saying Texas.
We'll go to write them after because they are 4. It's another team in the Big Ten. Welcome.
Okay, then I'm saying Oregon is 3.
Oregon, wow, dude.
Go Ducks. Yes. That's
wild. You said Go Ducks.
Yeah. 4 is Texas. That's right. The 4 is Texas.
Yeah,
they're on.
I would put Texas ahead of Oregon.
Now,
bro.
Oregon's coming in kind of loaded. They don't lose a whole lot other than Bo Nix, but you're getting Dylan Gabriel, he's a good quarterback. I think he's solid.
Give me Quinn Ewers though.
Huh?
I'll take Ewers over Dylan Gabriel though.
Sure, yeah, but I don't. The thing with Texas is there. I guess maybe this is their thought process. Is I mean, you're losing a lot of your weapons, right? I mean, you're going to lose AD Mitchell. You're going to lose Xavier Worthy, Jay Witt. Like you're losing
Jonathan Brooks,
losing Jadavion Sanders, who's going to be the first probably tight end off the board. Like there's a lot of guys that are losing on the offense. Now, did they restock? 100%.
Well, they got their O-line coming back too for the most part.
O-line's pretty much coming back. But you lose Sweat on D. Like they're losing some key weapons, but the core of that offense, the core offense and the defense is for the majority coming back. So I mean, whatever.
Didn't they just get some nasty receiver in the transfer portal?
They got a couple
Isaiah Bond.
Isaiah Bond.
Isaiah
Bond. Isaiah Bond's good.
His name's escaping me from they got a kick returner and whatnot. What's his name? Whatever. From Houston. They got a few studs. I mean, they got 3 Bama guys coming in.
Yeah.
They got a kid, the kid Kabuku or something like that. The safety from, I think it's Isaiah Kaboko or something. I'm probably butchering his last name, but he's a safety from Clemson. He's a guy who's been there and done that. They need help. I mean, the secondary was the really big issue for them. Their pass rush kind of sucked. They had a lot of young guys that were on the edge. Their rush defense was great, but their secondary was terrible. I mean, we saw got carved up against Michael Penix. Just a bad secondary. So I think that'll improve with some of the guys they're bringing in. Sark's building something here that's going to sustain. Like this is, I'm sure Bama gave him at least a ring to give him a, hey, yo, before DeBoer got the job. You want to come, succeed the man. And Austin and Texas and here, like he's already built it up from 5 wins to 8 wins to they had 12 wins, including the Big 12 championship. So I think Texas will be in a fine spot, especially with Quinn coming back. And again, the whole conversation of Quinn is Arch leaving. I just thought he's not going to leave. He has one more year to learn that system. That's not the easiest to learn. One more a year to understand the SEC that he's coming into, because it's a different ball game when you're playing them other than, Kansas and BYU. And so I think that'll be, and I was saying this to Dak earlier, Stu. I was just like out there talking with fellas before we got on. It's like, to me, it's like, why wouldn't this kid Manning, who's got legit the biggest name of any recruit, want one more year of no pressure on him? Because after this, buddy, you gotta be a Manning. Like, you have to be a Manning. You gotta be the guy. So leaving and learning another place, like, it felt so rushed. He's 19.
He's not gonna leave.
He's gotta love, dude, the Austin bars. He's gotta be.
Sure, the kid's having
he's
a fine time on campus right now.
He's gotta be a big Buford's guy. Yeah. There's no way he's got any complaints. There's no
complaints
way,
if
no.
You have complaints if I'm not gonna say.
I mean, I'm not trying to be Oregon hater here, but like my whole thing with Oregon, like that, I feel like people are giving them a little too much juice right now, and I think they'll be good next year. I think they're a 10-2 team next year, just like they were this year. Like, I mean, I think switching conferences, I don't think they're just gonna hop into the Big Ten and win the Big Ten. Like, to be honest, like I think that's a little bit of a wild take to have. Like, it's a whole new league. They're going to have to learn. Like, these teams that play each other every year in the Big Ten, they have, like, years of experience playing against each other. You don't just hop into a new conference and dominate off rip like that. Yeah. And, I mean, I feel like they replaced a ton, too, because, like, they're losing in running back. They're losing Bo Nix. They're losing a wide receiver, like, their best wide receiver. They're losing guys on defense. Like, they did get a lot in the transfer portal, but like you were saying, like, I feel like Texas, they loaded in the transfer portal too. So I don't know. I feel like Oregon is a little too high here on this list, honestly.
Oregon's starting to remind me of, and this is the team I was actually going to guess next, a little Notre Dame-esque and a little are they Notre Dame's not 5? Oh wait, wait, let me.
Yeah, they are 5. Yeah, that's what I said.
5. That was my next guess. And a little pre-championship Clemson, where everybody's got them high every single year, and deservedly so. Like, they ball out and they have a bunch of weapons and they have a good head coach. But like you said, Stu, they're classic 10-2, and I feel like they're like most likely like that's where they end up. They're going to be 10-2 again.
I mean, their schedule's not easy. Like,
not at all.
That's one game I just know offhand. Like, they don't have an easy schedule, so.
And they didn't win a big game last year. Like, they didn't. They looked very good in every game. But I think
they're fast. They kind of fit that fast. You know, that's kind of their identity, right? Of course. Like, but I think at 10-2, to be kind of the other side of the coin here, I think 3 is high. I agree with you guys. Yeah. But also at 10-2, you're getting into the playoffs probably.
For sure. You're like, in my eyes, they should be ranked like 7 or 8. That's like where I would put them around, I think. Maybe even a little higher.
Notre Dame, you touched on that one, Dak. They are getting Riley Leonard from Duke. And they're keeping a lot of their guys. The running backs coming back, right? Yes.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about Notre
Dame. Hearing about them all year,
but they'll be around 9 wins. That's what I know.
I think Estime's gone. Yeah,
Estime's gone. Okay.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I don't know. O-line's always good. Their schedule now compared to everybody else's was it used to be tough. Now it's really not, to be honest. You still have a mostly ACC schedule, which to me is by far the worst power conference of the 4 now. Because I think the Big 12 is going to be more competitive and there's more parity in there. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about Notre Dame. I really am not. I don't.
I know.
I would not put them at. I mean, they could go 11-1 or something just because of the schedule, but I don't think I would put them 5. Like, I think I was dissing Oregon, but I like Oregon a lot more.
Yes, yeah, no question. I think Oregon has more juice to it. I think Oregon could actually win a title. I don't feel like Notre Dame can win a title. Number 6. Well, I guess it's a little shaky here. I'm okay with 6.
I have a guess.
I'm okay with 6. I think it's actually I'll stand on my table for this one. Actually,
you're okay with 6.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate for
this changes my guess. But Stu, you got one?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. That's correct. Yeah,
okay.
I'm okay with that. They're good.
I'm cool with that too. Yeah, that makes sense.
Comes back. They don't lose a ton of guys. They're getting a shit ton of guys in the portal. Lane's working.
Who's the running back that left?
He went over to Ohio State, didn't he?
Ohio State.
Yeah. He's pretty good, but They're
He's
pretty
good.
loaded, and I think that
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin's got some going there. Now I have to look at their schedule. I don't think they have to play Bama. I don't know if it is next year. They might still have to, but they're not. We're not doing the East and the West, so that's a little more clear for them without Bama and LSU in the West. They kind of have just been taking up that spot. I'm okay with Ole Miss there, honestly. I think they'll be pretty damn good. Jackson Dart's not bad. He's not bad. No, love the
he's
guy.
good.
He's not a tool bag, but he's not bad.
He's
I mean,
good.
bro, we were talking about Oregon loading in the portal and like Texas, bro. Ole Miss did
Ole
just
Miss
as
went
good a job
crazy.
as anyone in the portal.
Yeah, I think they got number 1, right?
Yeah, dude, they
Yeah.
were number 1. They got the dude from South Carolina, the wide receiver, who's
Yep.
insane. Like, dude, I would, and with Jackson Dart coming back, like you were saying, I would honestly put them like on like same level as Oregon, maybe even
Yeah.
put them above Oregon. Honestly, like I think
I
Ole
agree.
Miss is due for a good year next season.
Yeah,
They had a
I
good
think
year
that.
last year, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
For sure.
I think that tier of 1, 2. I think Texas probably should be the 3 in that next tier, and then you could give me Oregon, Ole Miss, and then I'm going this team at 7 over even Notre Dame. I'm sorry about Notre Dame. I'm just it's probably what you brought up, where it's probably they'll probably win 11 games, and that's maybe why. I mean, they don't have an insane schedule. So number 7, any guesses? I like this one as well.
You're going with this team at
Another
7.
SEC?
It's team in the SEC, correct? Yeah,
Mizzou.
Missouri. Yeah,
Yep.
they're coming back with a lot of the same guys. They're only losing a few guys on defense. Brady's coming back at quarterback. Not my favorite, but he's pretty good. He'll win you some games. Dak, that was your kind of side SEC team this year.
I love Mizzou. They're awesome. LSU
Loves
just took
Mizzou.
their
He loves 'em.
D coordinator, Blake Baker, and their linebackers coach was kind of big.
Yeah,
Because under Blake Baker, they went from like 80th ranked defense to like 40,
yeah.
which is a big deal, and that matters. Who's their running back?
Is that kid coming back? I forgot his name.
No,
He was
he's
amazing.
done. He's graduated.
Yeah, he was like door dashing and what I think it was like 24.
Yeah, so it's like an
He's pretty old.
SCH, not Schrader, but it's like something like that.
Luther Burden's gone too, right?
No, Luther Burden's back. I think
He's back. Oh,
Wow.
I
shit.
think he was a sophomore. So that's a huge deal.
No.
Damn.
But yeah, I like Mizzou. Put him at 7. I'm
Mizzou's
good with
good.
that.
Number 8. We're all gonna have a problem with this one.
This is my
Penn
guess for
State,
6.
bro.
Penn State.
Screw them.
Yeah.
Screw them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Screw
I think
them.
they're gonna be shit. SHIT. They're gonna be
Yeah,
bad.
the audacity to put them. The fact that we've said Mizzou. I mean, and no hate towards Mizzou. Honestly, I think Oregon is even crazier. But the fact that Oregon and Penn State are ahead of Michigan, bro, like I think that's kind of wild to just assume both those teams are going to be better than Michigan next
Just you
season.
wait. You're gonna get your panties in a wad from this when you figure out where they're ranked.
No,
It's
I
not,
can't.
it's a little bit surprising. Hold up. I'm looking up. I actually am. This is one I actually want to look up. Give me a second, fellas. Let's see
Okay.
Penn State's schedule. And this is what I'm trying to think. I think they avoid Michigan and Ohio State next year, possibly. And that could
Well,
be part of this. I could be wrong. I know they don't play Michigan.
They don't
At
play
West-
Michigan. Yeah, I know
At
that.
West Spa, they got Bowling Green, Kent State, Illinois,
Okay.
UCLA, USC, at Wisconsin. They do get Ohio State. They get it at home, though. They get Washington at home, at Purdue, at Minnesota, Maryland. I mean, they're going to probably win 10 games with that schedule.
Yeah, that's fair.
No,
As
they will.
they do every year, every single year.
They're
Well,
gonna end the season ranked like 12, bro. or
Yeah,
like-
they're gonna waltz into the playoffs and they're gonna get
11 seed.
smoked by somebody.
Yeah.
They're gonna be between 12 and 10 to end the year.
Number 9. All right with this. I have no problems.
Number 9.
I don't think there's anything wrong with
Clemson.
this.
Clemson.
Clemson is not in the top 15. No.
Oh wow, dang.
Okay.
I've
I
seen
don't
them.
think this is it. I'm just gonna. Oh wait, number 9. I'm going Utah.
They are 10. That's a good guess. 10's Utah. And I think they'll be the best team for sure in the Big 12. There's
I
another
agree.
team that we'll touch on in the Big 12 that's pretty good, but
Zona.
Zona's 12, so we're kind of bouncing.
That's
Sorry,
who I
Zona's 11. Zona's 11. They're next.
Zona's 11. That's who the other team
It's
is.
Alabama. Alabama.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Makes
jeez.
I have no
Yeah.
problem with that. They're going to be fine.
That's cool.
I mean, they're going to be fine in the sense of they're going to be a top 10 team in my eyes, even with this transition. You got too many good guys there. I think Kellen DeBoer is a good coach. I mean, you're filling the biggest shoes of all time. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Your expectations should be about 10 wins, I'd say. But
I was
that's
gonna
gonna
say
be
I can't see them losing more than 2 games next year. Like I think they'll lose 2 at most.
They're gonna struggle, but they struggled this year even. Like everybody saw it. Like especially at the
Yeah,
start
but
of
if
the
they
year.
win
So,
in OT against Michigan, they win the Natty. So
exactly.
struggling.
So like they'll go through probably early on like the lumps and bumps, because they did lose a lot of guys.
They
Like
did.
They lost a lot of guys, but they also had.
They're
I mean, they
still
lost a lot of
fine,
guys, but not
man.
a lot of key guys. Like Isaiah Bond was like, and I guess Caleb Downs. Those are like the two biggest.
Caleb Downs is big, yeah.
That's a big one. But think about the recruiting class too, though, dude. They had the number 2 recruiting class. Like they're
I went back and looked since 2018. They haven't been outside of the top 4. They've been a top 4 class every year.
They got dudes, bro.
They're good. Yeah, they're gonna be all right.
Utah, you touched on it, boys, and Zona. Big 12. That's probably who's fighting for the Big 12. I give respect to Kansas State. I'd say they're pretty decent. I don't know. Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon's coming back, I believe, but I don't really know much about what's going on there with their situation. But I think those will probably be the 2 contenders, the new additions to the Big 12. Big 12 is going to be a lot of fun this year. I'm actually really excited for Big 12 football, oddly, just because I feel like that's now there's not really a good comp because it just feels like the SEC and the Big 10 are like the AFC and the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like conference now. They're the fun.
Yeah. This
I was going to say it's like if the Pac-12 was fun throughout our lifetime. Like that's what it would be.
Yeah, I don't want to discredit it to be like it's in between like the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, where it's like teams in there, some frisky teams, kind of like that. So I'm excited to see that. Noah's coming back, Fafita for Zona. Utah's rising back, baby. I think it'll be 25.
All set.
Jeez,
27-year-old, like that's.
Oh my gosh! But that's a program that won't. I think moving to the Big 12, they're going to just stay right here. I mean. Coach has been there, I believe, the longest. Maybe Kirk Ferentz is the only one longer. I can't remember. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. Next at that would be 12. Any guesses?
So we went 10, 11.
You guys want to touch on Zona? I know you guys like Zona. Sorry.
No, I love Zona. They got all the guys coming back. They said they got offers to go play a lot of play. I think Noah Fafita and who's his boy at wide receiver, like McMillan or something like that. That's his name.
I feel bad. I don't know.
I think they got offers to go play at Bama.
They did.
And then obviously they could have gone with Jedd Fisch to Washington. And they all said they were doubling down, staying at Zona. They donated a bunch of NIL money to the community. Good for them. Like
they donated it to their teammates, bro. They gave it to their teammates who were making as much. Yeah.
So good dudes.
I'm rooting for them, dude. They're honestly probably my pick to win. Obviously, Utah is gonna be good too. But we'll probably do this at some point. Give our picks for winning each conference, but they're probably gonna be fine.
They got a lot of time to do that.
Side note, they would also probably be my pick to crash and burn next year as well. Like a team with some hype.
Who took over? I'm kind of unclear.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, they got someone good, bro.
That's the small issue. That could be the team with some hype where it's like them, and I also love this team, but there's a reason I love them, and it's kind of they're underdogs almost. Mizzou could also do that. Like there's a very good chance always.
Yeah.
But we'll see. My headphones are dying.
They got Brent Brennan. I thought they got someone.
Where's he? Is he internal or where's he from? Is he internal? I think he's internal, right?
To be honest, I don't really know. Let me see.
I'll look it up.
I think he was or DC.
I thought he was.
Oh wait, he's from. Okay, this is kind of a good hire, dude. They got the guy from San Jose State. They've been kind of nasty.
The Mighty Spartans. Okay, all right. Chris Caliente, shout out. Castellani. I always mess up his last name.
I know. I lost to Cincinnati, Stu.
Chris Castellani, Stu, for context, we made him our head coach at NCAA. We made it to the Natty, and we won't touch on that. Don't want to know who we lost to in the fashion we did. I'm sorry.
State, bro.
Huh?
Did you lose to Ohio State?
We did. And it was so I had the sticks. I'll just give the context. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, come on, give it. Spill the beans.
Yeah, dude. It's
part of the story.
I had the sticks and I was playing kind of reckless all game, but I was still like whooping their ass and it didn't matter. We got the ball back. All we needed was a field goal to win. If we kick a field goal, we win by 1 point. I was marching down the field, driving. I was honestly running the ball. I was running the rock a decent amount of the drive to burn some clock. But we were doing a little bit of drinking. I got a little distracted and I got a little bored. And I rolled out one time. Ask Kreitz. Literally, as I go to throw the ball, before it left my hands, before the guy caught it for a touchdown, I literally went, I shouldn't have done that. And the dude was wide open in the end zone for a touchdown. 34 seconds left, though, so we should still be fine.
March down the field.
Yeah, Ohio State in 34 seconds
By
march on the
one.
field. I think they had like a 40-yard bomb just to win it. Yeah.
But Chris has now got his new job in Lincoln, Nebraska as the OC of Nebraska.
Oh,
So
damn. What was
promising
the
things
QB? What was the QB's name at Cincinnati?
that's
I'm
Cincinnati.
curious.
San Jose State.
Oh, San. What was the QB's name?
What was his name?
Some copy paste name. I don't remember.
I don't remember. Yeah.
John
remember.
Jimson.
You
John
can't, you know,
Jimson.
your guys, man. Come on.
All right. It's all
All
right.
right,
We'll move on.
I
Yeah,
digress.
I'm
All
sorry.
right, go to 12. Go to 12.
Michigan's got to be next, dude. They got to
Nope,
be next.
not next.
USC.
No,
Oh, LSU.
LSU, number 12.
LSU 12.
The
Okay.
I mean,
Bengals.
I think that's around where they should be, but like, bro,
Dak, please take
Higher
the
than-
sticks on this one. What do you think about your Tigers?
No, I think they're going to surprise some people. Obviously, it sucks you lose Malik Neighbors. Jane Daniels is a big deal. But the defense is only going to get better. It was impossible to get worse. Like I
Bad
said, we got
this cheese, one might say.
we got Blake Baker back, and then we brought in Corey Raymond, which is a big deal because he helped build DBU. And so we brought in when Brian Kelly came in, we brought in Frank Wilson, who was one of the best recruiters from LSU. He brought in like Leonard Fournette, guys like that. Corey Raymond brought in like Derek Stingley, guys like Pat P, Tyrann Mathieu. And so like he was a big deal building DBU. He went to Florida, which mattered quite a lot because Billy Napier was a Louisiana guy. Guys got worried. They fired him. They let him go. We brought him back. So that's huge for recruiting, huge for our secondary. We revamped on defense.
D-line coach from Texas, right?
Exactly, which is huge. Yeah, no, like that's a really big deal. Anybody that can help Harold Perkins is going to matter, and so the defense is only going to be
star. Yeah,
I already said I was like I am dying to get back to the days where they're just discussing on defense, and you just need your offense to score a little bit.
Yeah,
our O line for the most part is all coming back, and we had a very good offensive line last year. We have a solid running back group. Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors are leaving. We still got guys like Aaron Anderson, and we have a nice recruiting class. It all kind of relies on Garrett Nussmeier has been there for a few years now, and he's been waiting behind guys. He's supposed to be the truth. He maybe not the truth, but he was a 4-star coming in, and he loves LSU. He's a Louisiana guy, and he had a nice bowl game. And so if he can legitimately, like, I don't need a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. I don't need that. Just put up a nice defense and an offense that can put up, let's say, 30 to 35 a game, which in college football is incredibly doable.
Yeah.
And so I think they're going to be better than what most people think. And then this year we had a top 4 recruiting class, and obviously 2025, everybody knows the story there with Bryce Underwood. And so it's like I you know, they are.
You had to throw that in there. Huh?
Well, I was just saying it's part of the
talking
story.
about 2025 right now.
No, because I said 2024. This past year we moved up to 4 for our recruiting class, and so it is people. I feel like people ask a lot. They're like, "Oh, what do you think about Brian Kelly? You let him go, yada yada." But it's back-to-back 10-3 seasons, and you know the team has improved. The defense was worse last year, but they are finally kind of building something where it's maybe not just a crazy flash in the pan, which was the greatest year of my life. But they had done that in the past with like 2011, build some consistency. And so 12 is a good spot for them right now. They don't need to be sitting there at like 5, like what they were last year. And I personally think they can end up higher and for sure make the playoffs. So.
No, I agree. I think I think you guys will, like you were saying with the defense, like it can't get worse. Like there's no way it can get worse. And so I agree. Like your guys' defense will probably be a lot better. Offense, O-line, like you're saying, solid. So, like, I think you guys will be fine running the rock. The QB, Nussmeier, that's for the Michigan fans. Doug Nussmeier, old OC. I think was he under Brady Hoke?
Sounds right.
Yeah, I think that's his son, which is crazy. But, yeah, I don't know. I think next year's, like, huge for Brian Kelly, to be honest. I think post-JD – if the Tigers aren't looking too great, I don't know how well that reflects on him as the head coach going forward.
It is tough, but like I said, they finally are building something. And he's been very good in the transfer portal, and he's been very good recruiting wise. And they had to restart quickly after Coach O. And I do think they want some consistency there. Like you don't have to. You can even go back to Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. Like look at 15, 16, 17. You're going into 2020. Everybody wants him gone. It is good to have a coach that can win you 10 games in a tough conference. And although you're maybe not winning a national championship and people are getting upset, it's good to keep them around. And because you keep some consistency.
Oh yeah,
I'm
not saying he's going to get fired. I'm not saying he's going to get fired. I'm just saying it's not going to be the best look if he. I just think next year says a lot about what the future like under Brian Kelly is going to look like.
I agree. No Heisman quarterback.
They're at 12, and my expectations for them is to make the playoffs. I actually think they're going to be a very solid team. But if they don't make the playoffs, then to Stu's point, it's like,
yeah,
why should making the playoffs? Like, yeah, I get it. Ole Miss is in front of you, and the Mizzou. You should still be. I know Mizzou's loaded. LSU should still be better than Mizzou, and they beat them this year in Columbia. Like they still did. So, like Bama, all those teams, they don't have to place. You would know the schedule better than I would, Dak. But I mean, I would expect them still to win 10 games. Another team kind of like that and make the playoffs. That's kind of my expectation for them.
Yeah, I agree.
You gotta make the playoffs.
They overachieved year one with BK, and they underachieved for sure last year with BK. So this will be kind of an interesting year to see year 3 what they pull out with, because you lose your Heisman winning quarterback, but just focus on the defense. Like you said, how could it get worse? That was really the only bet, and they still had a decent year overall.
And even last year, like I think they underachieved by a game. You could call it 2 because Florida State ended up being very good, and they had to go into Tuscaloosa. Like the only
game was not
exactly that's
that
the
was
one
the defense.
Exactly, that's the only one that I go back to where it's like, how'd you not win that game? Like you got to go to Ole Miss, take care of business. Just don't give up 56 or 54, whatever it was. And so that's really the biggest one. And they overachieved year 1 just because they went in and they took care of business against Bama.
Yeah.
So it is. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm excited, dude. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
The O-line is gonna be nasty. Having everyone back on the O-line is huge.
Huge. And I think the parity now, because of the 12-team format, that'll help a team like LSU that's like, okay, now we really got something to play for. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you could go play for a Peach Bowl or whatever, like if they won one more game. But now it's like, no, now we're actually a team that has guys that can compete at that level. And it's going to be a totally different dynamic now with the 12 team, which I think they should be a top 12 team. All right, 13. Stu, I'm just going to pass over the torch to you here. It is Big Blue, former going into it, national champions. Number 1, is Orji going to be the quarterback? Is it the Daniels kid we just got it recruit, right? That's his name, what's his name? Davis.
Jane Daniels, yeah.
Daniels, it is Jane Daniels. Jane Daniels from North Carolina. He's a 4-star kid, pretty solid from what I've seen. Orji's just a crazy athlete. Really haven't seen him throw the rock at all a lot in college. I've watched it. I was actually just recently watching his high school tape in Texas down here at high school, and he could throw the thing. I mean, I don't hate 13. It's definitely a lot further down than I thought they'd put him for sure. I think you kind of have to embody that, keep hating on us mentality if you're Sharon Moore, because you kind of going in with super high expectations, pretty tough after you just lost one of the better coaches there is in football.
For sure. Yeah, no, they're going to – so this is my whole thing with Michigan for next year, and I was kind of alluding to it with Oregon, just talking about how it's kind of wild to me that they're at 3. It's as good as Oregon might have been in the transfer portal, I mean, they're losing right around the same amount as Michigan is. Maybe not as much, but it's pretty close, I think. Michigan still has a lot coming back on defense, which is what I think a lot of people are kind of glossing over with a lot of these preseason rankings. I mean, you're returning Will Johnson. You're bringing back Mason Graham. You're bringing back Kenneth Grant.
Yeah.
And they were flirting with the transfer portal, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant were, but they're locked in now. They're coming back for sure now. And so it's you got 3 guys there that honestly, all 3 have a really good shot at being first-team All-Americans for defense. O-line is still going to be nasty. Michigan's they haven't been the best overall recruiting, but if you look at Michigan's O-line recruits for the past 4 or 5 years, nasty O-line recruits, big guys. There are a lot of guys that are going to be starting next year are guys that were in the 2 deep this year, the backups. And so I don't know. I just feel yeah, you're replacing a QB, and I think it's going to be Orji. Get into that question. I do think it's going to be Orji. I think it's gonna probably end up being kind of like a Cade JJ scenario. I think Orji might be a little better than Cade, just because he's more dynamic. But I do think Jane Daniels probably gonna get in a little bit, sit for a year, and then next year he's probably gonna take over. 2025.
Yeah,
but
which is a bad idea.
I don't think Michigan's gonna go 15-0. Like, I don't think they're gonna go undefeated. I don't even think they're gonna go 12-0. But I think we're looking at probably like an 11-1 regular season team. That's what I think, to be honest. I think they either lose to Oregon or they lose to Ohio State. One of those two games.
And Texas is on that list as well, brother. That's the one thing.
It is, but, and we'll get to this as we get to the season.
They're not.
I'm taking Michigan over Texas and Ann Arbor, bro.
I feel like I just feel like 13's fair just because they lost. You talk about losing a lot of players, and then it's different, obviously, when Bama and Georgia would lose all those guys.
Wait, real quick, I just need to correct this. It's not Jane Daniels, it's Jane Davis. I was trying.
That's what I thought. Davis, right? Yeah, Davis.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I was like Jane Daniels. Davis. That's what. Okay.
No, it's different than like when Bama, Georgia, or even those Clemson teams lost all those guys and they had to revamp because like you lost one of the best, not just coaches in college football, but just best coaches in football in general. And he brought Jesse Minter with him, which doubles down.
Getting Wink, baby.
Yeah, Wink.
Wink is legit, bro.
It's not a bad feeling.
I will ask this. Obviously, it's always good to get an NFL head coach. Or not head coach, an NFL coach is like your college assistant coach or college coordinator.
Dude,
what is all the hype about Wink though? I am curious.
Wink literally
because he was Ravens guy. Yeah.
Wink created the system that Jesse Minter and Mike McDonald run. Wink is the founder of that system. Yeah. He created.
He was the.
So they got the Godfather
at that point, right?
Yeah. And dude, the Giants this year, their offense was cheeks, and they were beating teams. I know the Eagles weren't great, but they were like beating the Eagles at the end of the season because their defense, all right,
was good.
Not defense. So it's like, I don't know. I think that's a really good hire for your defense.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, there's only so many good hires like at that point left, especially when they got them. I'm gonna go Michigan. Probably, I'm gonna go more like a 10-2. My expectations still again like LSU. I think it's a team that should make the playoffs still. Like, I think Orji will be all right. Like, he's got some time to develop. It'd be kind of cool to have a dynamic quarterback. We haven't seen that in a long time from Michigan. Not that JJ wasn't, but, JJ was – this kid's going to have to do more than JJ – I don't want to say JJ did, but kind of, yes, actually that. I will.
He will, yeah.
He will.
Will.
He's going to have
make plays.
He's going to have to make plays, and I think some mistakes will come from that. But I do expect Big Blue to probably, like I said, 10-2. And I think if you're 10-2 in the Big Ten with their schedule – you're playing let's look at this. Number 2, number 3, and number 4 on your schedule. Number 8's not, I guess, there. So, 2, 3, and 4. And you're getting 2 of those at home. So that is a big deal. But, I mean, I wouldn't – if Ohio State – the good thing for Michigan is I think you're kind of playing with some house money against Ohio State. It's like, that's on them. That's on Ryan Day. That, to me, is a job-saving game, even if they're 11-1. If you lose to Michigan, depends what you do in the playoffs at that point, right? But it's like, you lose to Michigan again at your crib? Like, they're for sure, no matter what, if they're both coming in 11-0, I'm sorry, they're still going to be favored. Like, it's just how it is. Like, so
I mean, this is what I think about Ryan Day is that if
he's getting the guillotine if they lose.
If you lose to Michigan, if you lose to Michigan a 4th year at home, the only thing that saves your job is making the playoff and winning the Natty. That's the only thing that saves your job.
Yeah. You got to be in the Natty probably, is, I would say, like legitimately in it. Because at that point, let's say, hypothetically, let's say that is the circumstance. Michigan would have to be 11-1. They're 11-0 going into the U of M game. They lose. Okay, but they still win the Big Ten, so they get the bye. If they're not winning at least that game, which they'd still have to win another game to get to the Natty after that, like, you're getting all the recruits, but I think you're going to get the recruits regardless if Ryan Day's there or not. And I'm going to pound on the table. Mike Vrabel, I would much rather have as a football coach. I think he'd do just recruiting because the resources are at Ohio State. They have the cash, clearly. They have guys that want to go play there. The Big Ten's only gotten better. And they produce. Like, look at all the guys in the NFL. C.J. Stroud, guy who couldn't be Michigan. Disgusting. All his receivers, Smith and Jigba. I get online. We know this. I mean, it just continuous. Defensively, they still have also guys there. So,
I mean, at this point, I think it's safe to say, and I think a lot of Ohio State fans would even admit this, is that it's a culture thing. It's not a talent thing. Like, it's they
Yeah,
just
no, they have they have it all. Like
yeah, like it's Ryan Day. It really is. And so yeah,
coaching and culture.
he's only got a few sands left in the hourglass, and this year's his chance he can either flip it back up or it's
Yeah.
gonna run out either or.
And I think
Just
all
like
Buckeye
Lord
fans would agree
Farquaad.
with that, right? Like when all Buckeye fans, I mean, we have some on here that watch us, appreciate you. I know we rag you guys a lot, but like
This is it for him, dude. This is it for Ryan Day. Like this is.
You have a number 2 team as you do almost every year. Like you're still getting those guys. You're getting the best receiver in the whole recruiting class. Like there's not a lot of excuses, and it's more Ryan Day than Ohio State. That's really the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree.
love Rabel, I'm telling you. We'll skip past these. We'll get AP in. I know we're kind of cooking on time here.
It's all good. Yeah, let's get AP in for 5 minutes.
I'm all set on these two. It's Oklahoma and Florida State.
Yep. Who cares? Don't care.
All right. Sorry, Sooners and Seminoles. You're going to be good. You're not going to make the playoffs.
2 coaches. Those are only thing I'll say. 2 coaches I think will be gone sooner rather than later. I'll be honest.
Especially variables, whatever you got.
Yeah, Brett Variables. I really, I believe that.
5 minutes in the chamber right here. We got our good friend AP, aka Coach.
Coach.
Appreciate the call in. Got some stuff on your mind you want to share with us. We want to hear it. Let's hear it. Appreciate you being on the show. Appreciate it.
Rip it off, brother. We're ready.
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas. And
Of course.
First things first, we gotta obviously congratulate Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes. We're witnessing greatness here, man. That guy's really got about 3 Super Bowl rings and about 6 starting seasons.
Yep.
He's on his way to greatness, and I'm not going to split hairs over if he's on the path to being better than Brady or whatnot. But man, we're actually witnessing one of the greatest things we have all seen in football. So I got to give props to that. Second thing I got to do, Andy Reid, man, that guy's always got some tricks up his sleeves. Something I think a lot of people weren't ready for. Clearly, the Niners weren't ready for. Pat Mahomes ready to use his feet. Man, when he pulled out the read option in the red zone, middle of the field, almost at any point in the game, that guy knew what he was doing when he was taking off with the rock. So I got to give Andy Reid and the Chiefs a lot of credit for this game. But, something I've been reading about a lot and I've been hearing a lot of analysts talk about is all this bashing about Kyle Shanahan blowing this game, man. I mean, I really just don't understand it from some of these guys that talk about Shanahan blowing this, lead in this game. And it's like, well, first off, it's hard to coach against what we just called the up and coming Michael Jordan of football. And the second thing is you just had your quarterback turn 24 in December, and you're going to expect to compete with the team who's been there multiple times. I don't know. It's a little bit of a tough start to get to the game, but it's just tough to win a game, man, when you got your arguably the second best player in the game and Christian McCaffrey fumbling the ball. You got special teams costing you an extra point, also fumbling the ball on defense. And I don't think a lot of people talk about, they talked about how of a freak injury Dre Greenlaw was, but he was arguably one of the most underrated players in the playoffs. And that guy goes down on your defense, and it's just really hard to coach a game when you got that kind of crap handling from the team. But and again, I think the thing that really just blows my mind is how everyone was bashing his decision to take the ball in the overtime. And for me, when I was watching the game, it was pretty mind-boggling to see that fumble on special teams, even though it hit the guy's foot. I'm sure obviously he didn't plan to be there and that kind of stuff. But the first thing I noticed from when we started backtracking and watching that game, I personally just thought that was just a Niners defensive game up until that point. The Chiefs had about 6 points with 2 minutes left to go in the third quarter. And obviously the Chiefs quickly scored after that fumble. But from that moment on, it was pretty much all Niners momentum. A lot of people forget that this was a team that just scored on 3 straight possessions, as the Niners did. Excuse me, as the Niners scored on 3 straight possessions after that fumble, resulting in 1 touchdown too. These guys were answering when that fumble happened. And so I kind of thought it made sense for Shanahan to take that ball at the start of the fourth quarter.
We talked about this part, not to cut you off, but that's why I wanted to ask: are you taking the rock? Because I'm not personally. I don't want Mahomes.
Yeah, I understand if you want to play the defensive game and you want to defer and you want to have the ball second, but at that point, I kind of agreed to take the ball the way the game was going. I thought your offense had the momentum and your defense lost it, and that's why I thought his explanation of not saying he planned for a third drive, but if you're going to have a third drive, you're not going to put the third drive in Mahomes' hand. You're going to put it in your hands because your defense lost momentum at that point. And the other thing too is, I know the touchdown off the fumble was really only like 3 or 4 plays if you consider the 3 and out that they forced. But man, this defense was going against drives that were 10, 12, 13 plays long. They were out there on the field most of the time for the fourth quarter. And so I just thought at that point, the defense just completely lost momentum of the game for the 49ers. And that's why I agree with the take the ball at the start of overtime, man. You just had a team, like I said, man, score on 3 straight possessions. Your defense just gave up 4 straight scoring drives. I kind of like the call to take the ball at the start. And obviously, I think, the key is, you obviously want to score that touchdown on the opening drive of overtime. But man, that offense really did march down to about the 6 yard line just to kick an extra kick a field goal, man. Like these guys were moving the ball. So I just didn't
I
really
don't
understand
disagree with
that.
No, I don't disagree. Yeah.
with the logic because like you're right. The defense for the 49ers was like doing solid in the first half, and by the fourth quarter, like all momentum was gone. So I get not wanting to like put it on them, but at the same time, like you're giving Mahomes his moment. Like you were saying, it's the next MJ. You're giving MJ his moment to like be the buzzer, get the buzzer beater, and win the game.
Right. And I just think that defense is also very talented. I think
Both are really good.
Yeah, and I think on a given day, you've got a lot of talent on that Niners defense that can go and get a stop. But clearly they couldn't do anything from, really that fumble on. And I think that's why we saw Wilkes get fired today.
Yeah,
I think that was a big reason for it. But moving forward, I understand that there's a few things that some of the Niners fans are going to be concerned of due to contract situations and all that, which I totally understand. But I think this is also a team that needs to understand. You have enough already, and I think the key is to just keep what you really truly need. And obviously, there's just really 4 main things I think that this team needs to do moving forward. Obviously, got to develop Purdy a little bit more. I think the guy played great, but I think there's still room for improvement, which I expect this guy to do. Second thing I'd like to look at, really, you can combine my second and third bullet point here. Got to keep that O line happy, and I also think part of keeping that O line happy is keeping McCaffrey happy. And I think adding another running back could actually be a very useful take the load off that guy for a little bit. That guy's starting to head into year 8 now, maybe 9, where he's been carrying the rock for almost a couple hundred times a season. So I would start to look at adding another running back. You don't have to overspend on that position, but definitely take the load off of McCaffrey a little bit. And then, like I said earlier, you've got a very talented defense on the Niners. You got Bosa, Warner, Armstead. You can almost throw anybody out there in the secondary, and they can expect to perform. I think the key to this offseason for the Niners is probably going to get another DC instead of any other player, and I'd probably go call Vrabel or Belichick.
Yeah,
I mean, this defense is way too good to not go get a big name out there. But
Bill
Belly,
Belichick.
Either way, man. I mean, go get somebody that knows how to make play calls. Yeah, exactly. It's always worth a phone call. And then the last little step here I want to say is I know a lot of fans might like him. He is talented, but I wouldn't mind letting Brandon Ayuk walk.
It sounds like they're probably going to.
Yeah, I don't really think that guy's. I think he's talented, but I don't think I don't think he's worth a max contract. If I was personally the Niners, I'd offer him a franchise tag, and if he doesn't want to take it, he can walk for all I care.
Because he'll get paid. That's why he's being all making the scene.
Exactly, and let's not act like they didn't just do this with Debo. Debo was complaining about not having Debo was complaining about, taking handoffs and getting hit in the backfield and whatnot. But you know what? They ended up working out a contract, and it clearly means that they got their guy that they truly want. So I think it's okay if they let Ayuk walk. To me, he's a disposable player. They got him. I can't remember if it was a free agent signing or a trade from the Raiders. But if they quickly got him, I'm sure they can quickly find a replacement for him. So
we go.
that's just kind of like my little pieces moving forward for the 49ers.
Hey, got Ronnie Bell on the bench there.
Yeah, there you go. There you
They
go.
kind of like him, dude. They don't
Not
mind him.
bad.
Speaking of your Michigan boys, I heard Mr. Roman Wilson's making a name for himself out there in the
Was.
Senior Bowl. So,
Was.
I hope the Niners don't pick him up because I'd love to see him on my Lions. Actually, I think he'd be a nice piece for us.
Oh,
Oh, you're
Yeah.
lying.
Blake Corum in addition with JJ
Yeah.
McCarthy, yeah?
Round
think
two,
Roman-
Tommy
Blake Corum
Lucas.
round
Shout out
two. How
Tommy
do you feel about
Lucas.
I think Roman Wilson would be a nice little piece for us out there, man. I think, I understand it was tough for Josh Reynolds to go through what he did because he has been such a reliable player for
He's
us.
been good.
But, we can get a younger, more athletic guy out there. And I think Roman Wilson can exactly provide that. He's a bigger guy. He comes from a scheme where if you don't block, you don't get the rock. And I think that's part of Ben Johnson's message out there. And I think he'd be a great fit to our scheme, man. So I hope the Niners don't snag him because I want him. But
There you go.
we'll
I
see
like
about
that.
that.
Hey,
Long time for the
Fifth
draft.
round pick, I would not hate it. Fourth or
No.
fifth rounder, I could
Yeah.
see it.
Exactly. So we'll see how things go. But it's a long time for next season and got a long time till the draft anyway. So hope you boys have me on soon. So
Yep. Thank you, AP. Appreciate
last,
you. You'll
last
be a
one though, AP?
continuous
You
segment.
didn't answer. Blake Corum. How do you feel about Blake Corum? on the
man,
Detroit Lions?
I
Oh.
would like to see the Lions add a third running back. I think it would be nice, but I'd like somebody who's a little bit bigger than me out there. So
So not a second round pick. You're anti round 2 Blake Corum.
I'm anti round 5 Blake Corum.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I
Okay.
think
Okay.
I understand that, and we'll get that message to our good friend, listener, a follower, Tommy Lucas, who Coach, very
Yes.
well.
That's
Appreciate
right.
you being on, AP. We'll have you on again, of course. Thank you. Appreciate
Yes, sir.
you.
See you, fellas.
Appreciate it, AP.
Yeah, episode 10, fellas. We'll cap it off with that. 5 minutes in the chamber with AP. It's been a good one. We'll be back, fellas. We'll have a lot more prepared. Next segment, Stu, you brought it up. Little hoops. Get some hoops.
Yeah, next time we're gonna talk a little hoops. We'll talk a little college
Yeah,
hoops.
we'll do that.
Well, guys,
Because
on stuff.
I like the last segment that you had picked out. I do. I think that's a fun one.
Yes.
Yeah, no. We're definitely gonna talk a little college hoops. There, we're gonna be doing a little selection Sunday of our own this
Yep.
March. So stay tuned for that.
Well, guys on stuff, a segment our friends suggested that we do. We're in the
Yeah.
off-season. We're gonna do guys on stuff.
That'll be good. No,
Guys
that'll be
and
really
stuff.
good.
Okay.
We should
All
do
right.
one episode where we do a little shrooms.
There you
And then
go.
hop on.
Get Chris to come
We'll
over
see.
too.
You know,
All
Throwing it
right.
out there. Throwing it out there.
Yeah,
We
you
can
know
go
who we
that
can hit
far.
up for the chocolates on that one. We'll rely to you there, Dak.
Probably do
Been a
it
good
for
one, fellas.
Valentine's.
Hell of an episode. We're excited for the upcoming season. We'll be back for episode 11 soon. Peace.
Boys. Peace.